First cast, third spot, first walleye. He just barely legal. So I'm throwing the hammer harness again this morning. I started right where I started yesterday morning, with my buddy Paul. I caught 3 walleyes in there on the green blade. Today I started with green in there, and boom, I had action right away, but it was all pickerel. So I fished through it for a half an hour in that same area, and that was it, just those 3 pickerel. I went to a second area, in about 10, 11 foot of water, and another pickerel. Stayed there for a half an hour, fished through that, and now, and I switched from the green blade to the orange blade, and then here, I just got here. That was my first cast. Boom. And I'm a little deeper. I'm in 14 feet here with good weeds, 5, 6 feet up off the bottom. And we'll see. I'm running a curly tail worm on here. And it's got a great action to it. So we'll see if that's a key. Orange is usually always my best color. That's why yesterday morning I was so shocked that it didn't work for Paul, because if I'm throwing a worm harness, it's typically orange. I typically start with orange, and chartreuse is a close second for me. And I threw that yesterday while he was throwing the orange. Brian, the B hammer tackle, that's what this one is. There's a ton of great colors. I mean, a ton. Those are just the 2 that I have had the most success with, so I fish them the most. I've got a blue one that I really like. Blue tape, silver blade. There are times I've got one with UV tape on it, just a clear UV tape, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea right now in this high sun. Bugs all over the surface, fish clomping them up all morning. So, all right, stay tuned. It's still early. I got time. I'll be back with the next one. Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm getting ready to get out of here. I came over to my fourth spot. I'm throwing a swim bait now for the last 5 minutes. I put the spinner away. I fished 4 different spots in the weeds with it. Caught fish in 3 spots. Only 1 walleye though. Everything else were pickerel. So I will check out different weed patches tomorrow. The trick is finding the weeds that those fish are using, identifying them, and then picking them apart. We got a big algae bloom going right now in this lake, and of course the mayfly hatch. Been here now for about a week. It's getting heavier and heavier. I don't think we've had a mega hatch yet, but there were a lot of them on the water this morning. A lot of them. Water temp is 75. I mean, a week ago it wasn't even 70. Of course, yesterday it was 102 degrees, so that was that was brutal yesterday. That was brutal yesterday. I mean, I love summer. I like the warm weather, but that was, in my opinion, ridiculous. I can't see how anybody would purposely want to live in that kind of temperature for more than a day or 2. That doesn't interest me one bit. We were at Tony's services last night. A group of us were talking, and they're like, the 32 is better than 102. you can always put more clothes on and stay warm. You can't take any more off once you get to that point. Hot is hot. And, the people are like, oh, I love it. Yeah, but you sat in air conditioning all day, and it's funny. I don't like air conditioning. I don't even like to run it in my truck. I much rather have the windows open and the breeze blowing. I'm not an air conditioning guy. Now, of course, in the house last night, all day yesterday, you had to have it. It would have just been ridiculous. And I even did turn it on last night on the way to that meeting that I went to after Tony's services. It was the first exploratory meeting gauging interest in the formation of a Oswego County Fishing Advisory Council that would be advising the legislators of our county on the fishing we have in this county, how we promote it, what we promote, the preservation of the fisheries. It was a pretty interesting meeting with a pretty diverse group of people. I say that I shouldn't say that. Most everybody was from Lake Ontario and Coldwater guys. I think I was the only one really that had, and I did that fishery up there for years and years, and I still do it some. But I was probably the only voice of the warm water stuff that we have in this county. And we have some great in this county. Smallmouth fishing here on trying to get out of the sun here a little bit. Smallmouth fishing here on Oneida and Lake Ontario. Walleye fishing, of course, here on Oneida and on Lake Ontario. Perch fishing here in Oneida and, of course, Lake Ontario. So we have a lot of, I'll tell you, and then, of course, when you add in everything that the Coldwater brings to this county, between the Salmon River, the Oswego River, and Mexico Bay, hard to beat Oswego County. As far as in a state that, everybody within an 8-hour radius knows about the Salmon River. Good, bad, or indifferent, they know about it. With the explosion of the smallmouth fishery up in the northeastern basin of Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River, it only makes sense that, there's certainly plenty of smallmouths in the Oswego County waters of Lake Ontario. So it only makes sense that we would have a more rounded approach. And, that fishing on Lake Ontario is pretty specialized. So if you're not going with a charter, it's not necessarily easily accessible to the average fisherman and the average boat setup. Certainly once those fish get offshore here now later into the summer. In the early spring or late fall when you're fishing the shorelines, that's different. You can flatline troll for brown trout just like you can for walleyes. Same gear, same tactics, just a planer board and go. So we'll see. It's in the exploratory mode right now. The legislature is, from what they said to us last night, receptive and open to it. And it would make sense. We already have the resource. And in a time of the green economy, and the more environmentally friendly tourism and green tourism, we have the resources already. We have these bodies of water that are just bountiful and year-round. So why wouldn't we want to bring people to our towns, our counties? And it's not just, the only place that makes money off that is guides and tackle shops. That's not true at all. That is not true at all. Occupancy in all of your hotels. And honestly, we probably don't have enough rooms in this county. there's certainly not much down here on this lake at all. You got one in Brewerton, and where else is there a hotel on this lake? That's it. Not on the lake, off the lake a little bit. There's really nothing on the North Shore. The South Shore, of course, you have Syracuse, and then you get all the way out to the east, and you have Sylvan Beach. But again, they're not. I don't think any of these areas scream to the fishermen, "Hey, come see us. Come play. Come fish, and spend your money in restaurants and bars and convenience stores and gas stations and grocery stores and all of that, and bring that flux into our economy and try to, God forbid, boost our local economies. Because if it wasn't for fishing in Oswego County, in my humble opinion, wouldn't be much here. But we have absolute world-class fishing for multiple species, cold water and warm water, in Oswego County, New York. So I don't see how or why we wouldn't want to promote that. And if any of the legislature happen to see this today, to me, it makes such easy and perfect sense. We don't have to build something so they're going to come. We've already built it. It's already here. We just need to help promote it, and to get the word out to locals and out-of-towners alike. There's a lot of people in Syracuse area, we'll just say that as the area, that have never been up and fished Lake Ontario or the Salmon River or the Oswego River, or here in Oneida Lake for whatever reason, So I hope that something comes of this. I really do. I am not one of those people that are like, oh, shut your mouth, you're going to ruin it. If nobody comes to a resource, the funding goes away. If more people come to a resource, more funding goes to that resource to keep it going, to keep that group coming. So I staunchly and firmly reject that notion of, oh, don't tell anybody, you're going to ruin it, there'll be too many people here. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for one bit. I fish this lake every single day of the week, 9 months out of the year, and I don't care if it's Monday morning or Saturday morning. There is a big lake here, and there is plenty of room for everybody. I've never said to myself, too many people, I can't find a spot to fish. There's always a spot to fish. Always, always, always. So that's my morning. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining me. Oh, keep your tip up.